It's time for another edition of Talk to Me. And now, here's me himself, 8-time Emmy Award-winning journalist, Mr. Maynard Eaton.
Hello again, friends, and welcome to Talk to Me, our weekly conversation with influencers, newsmakers, political leaders, and we have a special guest today. But before we join, please make sure to subscribe to the Atlanta Video Network and talk to me so you can join us each week. Now our guest, it's an honor to introduce you to and to present Dr. George French, the president of Clark Atlanta University, my boss as well. Dr. French, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, brother.
As a Black man, a Black professional, Black educator, and a man who leads Black students, your thoughts about Minnesota? I can't breathe. We've been down this road before, but what do you say to your students, your family? This is unspeakable times, are they not?
Maynard, you're spot on. And when I tell you, I was literally up all night long looking at CNN, not only because of Minneapolis, but Louisville, Kentucky. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. So I was contemplating getting in my car to go pick up my mom from Louisville, Kentucky, knowing the civil unrest that was going on there. What we need, in my opinion, would be more of the brothers like you who pose the question, where are we and what's going on? We need those Black lawyers on television defining for us what is reasonable cause, defining for us what would be the actionable, legitimately actionable actions of police officers. So when I looked at CNN again all night, I was inspired by the young Black men and women who were legally trained, who put it all into perspective for us, which is who we are as Clark Atlanta University. My heart hurt. I'm truly hurt for another George, as you note, his first name being George, another George, and I'm trying to envision myself being in his same position after doing nothing that would legitimize what occurred. And then today, Maynard, to make it, to add insult to injury, to take Omar and his entire CNN crew to jail, it was indefensible. And they were very clear. And what I loved about it is that sometimes media tries to spin things to say, well, you don't know what happened before. But fortunately, CNN was there and they said, let me show you the 4 minutes before where he was showing his credentials saying, I will go wherever you need me to go and do whatever you need me to do. And they still took that Black man to jail, indefensible.
I've been in those situations. I've covered riots and disturbances and had to present your credentials to police, even though you have a cameraman with you. But I've never seen anybody arrested like that. Told to move on, told to get out of there, but never seen anybody put in handcuffs for being a journalist.
I've never seen it, and it's a direct constitutional violation of our amendments on free speech, and we're going into a whole different stratosphere now with this foolishness.
Dr. French, but he was there covering what has amounted to a riot, burning, thieving, looting. I remember the 1967 Newark riots, although I wasn't a professional at the time. But again,
you were a baby at the time. You're not a professor. You were a baby, man. What are you talking about? You weren't old enough, Doc. Come on.
I wish I could say that. But what do you make of that, Dr. French? I mean, it turning so ugly. Again, you're the leader of young people. You're the leader of men and women who are watching this. And that's why I'm going to ask you this, because, again, we all look up to you, those who work for you and those who attend that school.
I'm going to keep it in perspective, and it's not always the most popular perspective, but I hope that the local residents will take care of their business. And one of the biggest, as you recall, Maynard, one of the biggest challenges that Martin Luther King Jr. had in Birmingham was being called an outside agitator. And that's the
Right.
next tagline that they're going to use, is that these are people who are totally from outside of the community. But you know what's interesting is that sometimes only people from outside the community can have the courage and confidence to know that their children won't be ostracized, they won't lose their jobs. But sometimes you need people from outside of the communities to come in to speak. Now, this is the unpopular part. I'm going to be
Okay.
very clear. I'm going to be very clear. Is that I don't agree with looting. I don't agree with stealing. I've got that. I've got that. But you have a people who are very feel enfranchised and very disrespected, and they're speaking out in the only way that's getting the nation's attention. And the only reason that we made it through the civil rights struggles where that we got the France's attention, Great Britain's attention, and that was through the media and us marching and making a statement where people had to hear us. So while again, I'm not saying it's legitimate, the looting part of it, but the protesting part of it is 100% legitimate, and that's where our people need to be.
Is Black and Brown America? Are we at a new level of angst and anxiety? Maybe even produced more so by the COVID-19. Where are we now from where you sit, sir? Is this um, a new day and a new ugliness?
I think it's a new day, a new ugliness, Maynard, and a new opportunity. I think it's an opportunity for institutions like Clark Atlanta University to say, yes, we have been focused on social justice. Yes, we've been focused on social work, education, even our prostate cancer research center. But now let's change the focus to what a world need is in epidemiology and viral studies. So I think it's an opportunity now for us to realize, especially as we've been impacted. And Maynard, I'm gonna talk to you because I'm so glad you're part of the CAU team, real team, okay?
Yes,
Um,
sir.
one of the issues is we have to get ahead of some of these things. And some of the individuals that I've spoken with at the beginning of this pandemic that tried to convince me that African Americans could not be affected, it
Right.
was foolish. It was misinformation. And we have to get ahead of that misinformation as universities like Clark Atlanta University to let folks know, wait, this is misinformation. Let's slow it down. Let's do our social distancing, and let's realize that this is not an epidemic, but a pandemic that's affecting the entire world. And now the entire world, they've always needed African Americans in times of crisis. They've always needed us, and we've always come through. And I would suggest to you, Maynard, that we will come through. Clark Atlanta University, AU Center, HBCUs nationwide, we'll come through this crisis. It's going to be difficult, but there will be some lessons learned.
HBCUs at a crossroads now, you think? You and your fellow college presidents, is this a, I'm sure you've had a lot of conversations of where are we? Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? So here's the thing. The federal government responded favorably. The Secretary of Education responded favorably. I was on a call with Tommy Dortch, one of my board members, recently,
Yes.
and he was honest. He said, this is going to sound, but let me be frank with you. This is one time when the federal government did what they were supposed to do in a timely manner. I'm one of 19 individuals on a special committee that advises the United States Secretary of Education. I'm not
Wow.
saying it because of that. I'm saying it because the United States Department of Education came through Clark Atlanta University about $17 million, which is going to make a major impact for us as we do contingency planning for the fall. $17 million is going to make a major impact for us. And Maynard, we help students, as you know, you're on that campus. We help students. We purchase airline tickets. We purchase gasoline cards. We purchase grocery store credit cards for our students. We've met their
Computer.
need. Computers, right? Thank you. Chromebooks. We gave out over 200 Chromebooks to our students so that they could go immediately online.
Well, Dr. French, I had the pleasure of teaching journalism and mass media arts at Clark Atlanta University. Will I be standing in front of a classroom come the fall, or will I be doing it like this?
I don't know. What I do know is that as academicians, and I love the fact that you are an academician, our decisions are based on analytics and science. They're not necessarily based on the popularity of a decision. And the good thing about us being a private institution is that we can make those decisions, not as a state institution, to say, no, if our students are not safe, we will not be in the classroom. However, my sense of optimism says to me that while we will be fully online for the summer, my sense of optimism says to me that we will be on ground for the fall. Even if it's not for the entire fall, even if we have contingency plans which say that we may begin classes the third week in August versus the first week, those classes may be online, then students come on ground, but then we release them not knowing, again, scientifically based, if a second wave will come during the flu season. We may very well release them by Thanksgiving. So it may be a truncated, but we will get in all of the required contact hours. So I don't know, my brother. I do want to see you on campus, but I just don't know if I'll be on campus with the students.
Is that the one of your toughest decisions of making it? Are you making it alone with your board of trustees, or are you making it in collusion with or in concert with some of your other Black college presidents? I mean, how are you arriving at this tough decision?
Toughest decision ever, without doubt. And Maynard, let me tell you the truth. Toughest decision ever. But you know what? We serve a God. We were built for these type of situations, these type of challenges. And we really were. And that's the confidence I have. And some people call it arrogance. You can call it whatever you want. But I serve that kind of God. So yes, I've consulted and consult regularly with the board of trustees, the chair, Greg Morrison, vice chair, Leonard Walker, several members of the board. We speak several times a week about this. Consult with the AUC member president. I mean, we're talking about Spelman, Morehouse School of Medicine, Clark Atlanta University. We're talking about the top brand in the world for HBCUs anywhere. So when we consult and we think about these things, we try to make sure that we disaggregate the data and we make the right decisions for our students. The worst thing we would want to do would to get 10,000 students back on campus in an unhealthy environment. So we would prefer to err on the side of caution and conservatism, but we're looking at all the data, and not only AUC schools with Michael Lomax and the UNCF, he's bringing all 37 member institutions together to make these decisions and deliberations, so that it's not just Clark Atlanta University saying we're doing one thing and everybody else is doing another. And Clark Atlanta University is the largest UNCF school in the nation. So people do look to us as as a major decision maker, but at the same time, we're in collaboration and decision making with all of those.
So, Dr. French, correct me if I'm wrong, no HBCU has announced their opening in the fall yet? I mean, There's nobody jumping ahead of the game or saying, "Listen, our doors are open."
No,
Yeah.
not to my knowledge. And to be honest with you, Maynard, I've been president of HBCUs. I'm one of the longest serving HBCU presidents in the country, probably the third longest serving in the nation. So my pulse is on all of them. And to my knowledge, no one has announced that they're going to open. Now, as a strategic positioning, it makes sense to have optimism that you're going to open, but firmly saying we will be open is just not happening right now.
Is this a crippling period for HBCUs? Are many of your schools, colleagues, standing on a precipice of having to close their doors permanently?
No.
Oh,
And I would tell you, and I would tell you that that's the conversation that's swirling around with some presidents and some leaders. I would say no, because again, going back to who we are as African Americans from 16, 19, and to where we are now, from coming through the Middle Passage, through segregation, through all the Jim Crow challenges that we've had, from all that we've had to deal, folks always ask the question, are African Americans going to make it? And I say, yes. As a matter of fact, we blow the hell out of the whole theories because we always come out stronger on the other side of challenges than we did at the front. And I just really believe that HBCUs will be stronger in our emphases on epidemiology, on viral studies, on the hard sciences, on capacity building and getting support. And guess what, Maynard, not just from the United States federal government, but from the World Health Organization, from China, from France, from Africa, from all of these different regions that are experiencing the same thing that we are now.
right.
They are going to put their money to make sure it doesn't happen again. And institutions like Clark Atlanta University, we're going to be at the front of the line to get those resources, and we're going to come up with solutions. So, hey, at the end of the day, we'll come out stronger than weaker.
Well, you mentioned earlier that you're one of the veteran college presidents. May I also suggest, from what I've been told, you're one of the best too.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
Dr. French, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you soon. And it's a pleasure to work as a journalism professor at Clark Atlanta University.
My pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Talk to Me. See you next week.